you, Laura. Afternoon, Brendan. Hope you're well.
Good afternoon.
Now, we've spoken in the past about how much you like tactical battles in games. What kind of battle will this be against Jose and Roma over these two legs?
Well, I think to get to the final you're going to have to work really, really hard, like we did in the other games, against Rennes and PSV Eindhoven. Roma got a great manager and they've got fantastic players. So yeah, we're going to have to be at our best over the two games to reach the final.
And Tammy Abraham is somebody that's gone to Roma in the last few months, back in the summer, reinvigorated himself after a tough final season at Chelsea. What kind of threat will he pose to you over these two games?
Well, he's done very well, Tammy, just looking at some of the games and over the course of this season, looking at his numbers. I think if you look at his numbers in terms of goals and assists, he's done very, very well. And for him, it looks a great decision. And over the last few years, we've seen some of our young British talents going into Europe to play and get regular game time. It was obviously difficult for him at Chelsea to play maybe as much as he wanted to, but he had the courage to go away, go into a different culture, different life, different style of football. But he's shown up very, very well. So he's obviously a threat. He knows the British game as well. And we'll have to keep an eye on him.
And one slightly off-topic question, if I may. This, apologies to the guys in the room, it's for a piece we're doing this weekend. Now, you're one of only two sides to have beaten Liverpool in the Premier League this season. If you remember back to that game at the King Power just after Christmas, what was the key in doing it in that game, in beating Liverpool?
Well, firstly, we had to have so much mental strength and courage in the game. We were coming off the back of playing a game on the Sunday, I think it was, against Manchester City. So you couldn't have had a tougher double header in world football. So off the back of Manchester City, playing in that game against Liverpool, the strength mentally and physically we had to put into the game, and of course the players were tactically really, really good. So yeah, they're an amazing team, both those sides. And rightly, they're obviously up there challenging for the biggest prizes in this country and in Europe. So it shows you the level that you have to be at to win a game against them. But two great teams that are performing at a high level, and I think in all competitions it will go right to the very end.
Thank you, appreciate that. Good luck tomorrow.
Cheers, thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Owen, who's from Leicester.
Hi, Brendan.
Hi, Owen. Okay.
I wonder if I could ask first about injuries at the club. I know Wesley Fofana was seen leaving with a bit of strapping on his ankle on Saturday. How is he, and are there any other fresh injuries in the squad ahead of the game tomorrow?
No. Thankfully, where the injury list is right down. So nothing new to add. Boumas Sumare will come back into the squad. So it's only Wilf and Ryan Bertrand that are the two long-term ones. Eldon, our third goalkeeper, is out as well, but apart from that, we've virtually got everyone ready.
Good. When you look at the delicacies of this tie in a semi-final in European football, what is the key, do you think, to getting through? Is taking a lead to Italy in the second leg vital, or is it just preferable?
It's preferable. Of course, you want to bring an advantage if you can, but I think we showed in the last round that you don't need to, and against Rennes, we played two really tough games, different types of games, playing against Rennes and PSV, but yeah, you would like to have a good performance and take a result there, which is important. But then the second leg, however the first leg finishes, it finishes on the evening. So for us, we want to go and perform. It should be an incredible atmosphere, so we're looking forward to that. The crowd can really help us. And let's bring our tempo and football to the game, and then we'll see where we're at.
That's what I wanted to ask you next about the crowd itself, because it's going to be a historic night, first ever European semi-final. Quite how important are the crowd going to be to helping those players over the line? Because I know you've spoken a lot about that before. Yeah,
well, it's so important. The supporters can really get you over the line in games, and so that's up to us. We have to generate that on the field. that intensity, that tempo, that energy, and then the crowd feed off that. And it should be, hopefully that combination can see us get a good start in the first leg.
Final one, Brendan, but you're going up against a manager who you know really well in Jose Mourinho from your time together at Chelsea. I wonder whether you could kind of take me back to when you first spoke and the kind of conversations that you had and the relationship you had and the kind of what he thought about your work, what you thought about his.
Now, there's a lot been said about Jose over many years, but for me, he is such a special manager. You know, one of the greats of our generation. I was the one that, I suppose when I was a young coach and I look back at all the managers that I've ever worked with, probably none of them would say that they felt that they were mentors to me, but certainly what I did was consciously I would assimilate as much of their great know-how and work and observe and watch and learn and study. And for me at that time, if you think of Jose back in 2004, when I joined Chelsea and he had just joined in the summer, Jose was a guy that everyone wanted to be like. You know, you think a lot of the everything back then was all about the players. And Jose came into the UK having been a European champion, and everyone wanted to be like Jose Mourinho. It gave young coaches hope that they could have that charisma and that quality. But I always felt back then when people used to ask me about Jose, and they said, well, what is he like? What does he have? And for me, he just had the X factor. There wasn't one single thing. He just was brilliant in so many aspects of the game. He was detail orientated. His man management with the players, like I said, his understanding of the tactical adaptations needed in the game, and then how he could promote that with the players. And he had this special quality that I was able to see in my formative years as a young coach, that he could bring people along with him. And like I say, I've just got nothing but admiration for him. Of course, I then grew and became a manager in my own right, and of course then it becomes a little bit more distant because you're busy in your work. But I will never forget what I gained from him as a young coach, and like I said, I studied him and watched him, and I was in pole position for that. And at that time at Chelsea, it was a really special period. So he's one of the great managers. He has nothing ever to prove to anyone. He's a winner. He'll always be a winner. He will always just have to want to prove it to himself. And I can't speak any more highly of him.
Brendan, thank you very much. Good luck
Pleasure.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Gary for Sky Sports.
Hello, Brendan.
Hi, Gary. Okay.
8 years ago, this very day, Gerrard slip stole a Premier League title from you in Liverpool. The opposition manager that day enjoyed that moment, didn't he? Despite what you've just said, is there always a nice chance to get a bit of revenge for that?
No, it's not about that. I've seen obviously Jose since then come up against him, and obviously when he was at Tottenham last. So no, that was a moment in time, of course, that everyone talks about and reminds me of. But it's okay. That was they'd done a job for us a good job on us on the day. We just didn't have that sort of know-how to break through and get through in the game. But no, it's not about revenge.
But his reaction to that shows just how determined he is to win every game.
Yeah, but you don't need to show that reaction to be determined to win a game. You know, some people can keep the emotion within. Some, will let it out. But that's okay. But it doesn't mean you're any more passionate just because you show on the sideline. So, but no, I think for Jose, he's, like I said, he's one of the great managers of the generation, and it'd be good to see him.
And you talk about passion. How important is the passion of Jamie? We spoke about Tammy. You have Jamie. How much will his experience and what he means around the place influence your decision about whether or not he can start this game?
Well, he'll be in the squad. I think it's the emotion of everyone. I think you, not just Tammy, obviously for us and how we play, it's important that our pressing and aggression is there from the top of the field. So whoever that is, if it's Jamie or someone else, then they play a very, very important role in that. But no, it's that a mixture of emotion in the game which brings the crowd up, but it's also about that quality in the game, and that's our concentration.
I wasn't there, but I read that when you were knocked out of the Europa League, you said something like you weren't aware of the Conference League, you didn't really know what it was about. Well, it's turning out to be a serious competition. I mean, the 4 teams in the semi-finals are all well-known European teams. It's something you hear and the players want to win.
Yeah, 100%. I think respectfully I said that at the time, because it was straight after we'd just been knocked out away in Napoli, and like I say, any coach or manager will tell you that you're planning forward and you're looking forward. So when we started the game in Napoli, we were top of the group, and so my disappointment clearly after the game was not to qualify. So I wasn't aware, like I said, of the competition. But of course, when you come away and you observe and you see the teams that we've played against to get to this point, and as you say, you see the 4 teams that's left, then you know that it's a prestigious competition, and all 4 teams will want to win it. Pleasure, thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Charlie from East Midlands today.
Thanks a lot. Hi, Brennan.
Hi, Jonny.
Before the quarter-final second leg against Eindhoven, I remember asking you what it was like to be the man who was on the verge of taking Leicester to the club's first ever European semi-final. I know you've got 2 games to come now rather than just the 1 second leg when I asked you then, but what's it like to be the man who's potentially on the verge of taking the football club to its first European final?
Just the same answer. What did I say back then?
I'll have to replay it, but actually I'll use the same clip.
Well, use the same one.
But it's got to be a special moment, hasn't it? Because as you walked in early on, you went, must have a big game, must be a proper one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, we normally get the local guys here who are regulars. So, it's a fantastic occasion. Like you say, it's against a top-class team, a great manager, that whole combination over 2 legs to be able to get to the final. Of course, we will be doing absolutely everything we can to do that. And again, it's another symbol of our growth here as a club. When I arrived back here, just over 3 years ago, obviously apart from the title-winning season, I think every supporter would tell you it was important to stay in the league, and our mentality and determination to change that way of thinking and make this a club that by the end of each season you have something to play for. That was what I wanted to do coming into here. So we arrive here now in this season with the possibility of arriving at a final. So that shows that we're progressing with the culture of the club and the mentality, and the opportunity to do that is of course a great one for us. But we know we have to earn that, and that's all we've ever wanted to do. You'll never be given the opportunity to get to a final. You've got to go and create it, you've got to earn it. And hopefully we can do that over the 2 legs.
That was a different answer. I'm glad I asked it.
Good man.
Good luck. Thanks.
Well done.
Okay, we'll go to John Percy.
Hi, Brendan.
Good.
Whether Jamie starts or comes off the bench, how much of a difference does he give the dressing room with his presence, his personality?
Well, clearly he's a top player, and I think everyone sees him in the game. But he has that streetwise element to his game. He has that cuteness in the game, and of course the experience. So that's a big plus for us.
And the game against PSV, obviously after the first leg, a lot of people looked at that result and thought a bit of a disappointment. But obviously, whatever happens tomorrow, unless you obviously lose, the game is obviously half done, isn't it? And you've learnt that in this competition, haven't you?
Yeah. I've always said it. I think I mentioned it before. In some games that I've had over 2 legs, you draw 0-0 at home, and people think maybe the advantage swings, but it doesn't really. You've seen in our performance against PSV, and you've seen the level of them. A few days later, they went on and won the Dutch Cup against Ajax. So for me, it's putting in a good performance. If you can get a positive result, clearly you want to win the game. But if you don't, okay, it goes into the next game, and we accept that. So, but we really want to see if we can take an advantage into Rome next week, and we'll be doing everything we can to do that.
And just finally, you talk a lot about the evolution of the club and the progress. How big a night is this for you tomorrow night? 'Cause it's obviously your first European semi-final as well.
Yeah, it's very important. You know, I've been fortunate in my sort of short career as a manager up to now to have played in some big games and been involved in big games, won some and lost some. So it's another milestone for me. But the most important thing is for the club and the players. You know, we want to achieve things together here. We want to keep promoting the club. The opportunity to bring it into Europe is fantastic. And like you say, you see the level of the 4 teams involved. Makes it a really prestigious competition to win. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's obviously there's a lot of it media based for you guys, which is natural. But for me, it's the football and the concentration on that and putting in a good performance.
Okay, Jordan.
Hi, Brendan.
Okay, George.
If you wanted Jamie to play 90 minutes, could he?
I'm not so sure.
We saw obviously there's no away goals in Europe this year, and I think you spoke after the
There's no what, sorry?
There's no away goals in Europe this year.
Yeah.
You spoke after the first leg of the PSV game, and I think you perhaps suggested that maybe PSV had defended a little deeper than you perhaps expected them to. Because 0-0 away from home in the first leg is, you know, it's quite an enticing result now. Do you expect Roma to maybe take the same tactic that the PSV did in the first leg of the last night?
I'm not sure. Just watching the games, Jordan, I seen the Napoli game and you know, they're away from home in that game, and they wanted to press the game. They wanted to be aggressive, you know, at times, and you know, in the static goal kick situation, they have 7 players up there pressing the game, so they weren't sitting back. So I just think it'll be moments in the game. I think that, like I said, nothing's decided after the first leg, but they're good players that can press the game, and they play with a back 5. You know, 2 controlling players in midfield, 1 in front, and two front players. So I think it'll be that combination of an educated pressure to come up and press, and maybe at times dropping back into the deeper position on the field. But either way, we've looked at that and spoke about that in the various ways to hopefully we can break it down. Cheers.
Okay, we'll go to Tom Colomassi.
Hi, Brady.
Okay, Tom.
Youri Tielemans is one of your most experienced players in terms of Champions League level from a young age played at. How important will he be tomorrow night, having tasted some of these occasions internationally and locally?
Yeah, I think it's a great experience for all the players. Obviously, some of those boys that have played in European competition before, of course, that helps. But at the same time, for the likes of Kieran Dewsbury Hall and these guys, where it's new to them, and you see his performance level, it's just another game for the team to grow and to develop, and another great experience. So we need that mixture of experience, but also that youthfulness, and that'll be our approach.
Okay, we'll go to Mark from ITV.
Hi, Brendan.
Hi, Mark.
Good to see you. You talked about the teams that are left in the competition. They're all currently sat in European places in their respective leagues. Bearing in mind what the winner of the Europa Conference League gets, is there an argument that it means more to you and Leicester than perhaps it does to the other clubs at the moment?
Not really. I think that, listen, it's pretty clear we work in the most competitive league in world football. But of course this gives us an opportunity to arrive into European football. So I can't really speak for the other teams, but I can speak for ourselves and know that we want to, we would love to get to the final and go on and be able to qualify through this path. But if it doesn't happen, we'll have given everything. So I think for all the teams, like I said, we're in, this is a totally different level of league. So you can't really compare the other leagues to the Premier League. The other leagues have obviously, of course, top teams in them, but where we are in the most competitive league in the world, it's totally different measure.
Thanks and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to James Nursey.
Afternoon, Brendan.
Okay, James.
Fine, thank you. Roma's game against Bodo looked
looked a bit spicy, a bit stormy, particularly the away leg. Any advice for your lads ahead of tomorrow's game on that basis?
No, just focus on the game.
I mean, Mourinho is known as a bit of a wily operator. Have you had to? Is there anything that you need to sort of guard against yourself or the team in that respect? Because you never know, mind games or things like that. You just can't be sure what you can get really.
No. Listen, the mind games are for you guys. It's for media. It's not for managers. You know, for me, it's always about the football, the concentration. We'll be very focused in the game, the staff. You know, so no, there's nothing to speak about now.
Okay, we'll go to Graham Bryce, and then if there are no more questions, we'll call it there.
Hi, Brendan.
Okay, Graham.
Just wondering how important you think at the back it is to have the experience of Casper, and where exactly is Jonny as well, having been rested at the weekend?
Yeah, both are available. Jonny's available. It was just managing him over a really busy schedule, Graham. But he's fit and ready and available. Yeah, listen, the team as a whole, you need to defend well, and I've been pretty happy with that over these last numbers of weeks in terms of the coordination of the team. We've let in 1 or 2 late goals and whatever else, but our actual defending in the games have been really good, and of course those 2 players play a key role in that. But they're not the only players. It's the whole team has to defend well, has to be cohesive, and hopefully that can allow us to get a good result.
Just talking about defensive there, would you be surprised if Jose came and parked the bus? And do you think that's an unfair kind of assumption people have about him, that he's a negative coach in any way?
Well, no, listen, I spent time with Jose, and I was at Chelsea for 4 and a bit years, and for 3 of them he was there. And the teams that I've seen him coach, he coached them to be aggressive. You think we play with 2 wingers and Damien Duff and Arjen Robben, and attacking midfield players. So it's sometimes about the players that you have available to you. Yeah, but listen, there's nothing wrong with that. He's a brilliant coach who sets up his teams to make them very, very difficult to beat, and that's okay. It's all about preference. Coaches will have a different idea of football. Some will be more attack minded. Some will be a little bit more cautious, a bit more defence minded. But that's football. What I know with him is that over a long period of time, he's shown to be, a brilliant manager, and I've faced him many times, and most recently at Tottenham. So it'll be a difficult game. He'll set up the way he thinks that it'll be to get a result, and whether that's up pressing high and being aggressive, or whether it's sitting in deep, he will look to do that.
Just finally, have you got anything nice looked out for him in the manager's office after the game?
Not yet, no. But it would be great to see him. As I said, I've only got high praise for him. He was brilliant to me as a young guy, and like I said, those formative years as a coach, he was very open for me. I could see and look forward to getting to work every single day, knowing that I was learning from his great qualities, and then I could make my own conclusions on how I wanted to work and how I wanted to play. So it's always nice. It's always great when I see him, and I look forward to doing that.